Well, it is 10 after 12. Only bad news of the day. I could not convince James. I could have begged him. And I could have guilted him into coming, but I didn't want to do that. You know, I wanted him to want to come to Ohio, and I guess part of him does, but, you know, for me, driving 4.5 hours is no big deal. You know, I always have so much to do, so many videos to do. And to be quite frank, 4 hours alone in the car allows me to collect my thoughts sometimes. You know, I tell you guys all the time, when I fly somewhere, I don't mind flying connections because I get to sit down with no one around me and just focus on what's at hand, because it's easy to forget stuff. It's very, very easy to forget stuff, and it's very easy to not think about things, and then they pass you by and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. It happens all the time. But that's the way it is. You know, it's so funny. We talk about how busy we are all the time, right? And Sunday, I was not busy, right? Stake payments were paid, so I'm happy. I'm riding a high at that point. There's no horses racing, I don't believe. Oh, yeah, later on in the night, per Lucky and Cash was. But there just wasn't a lot going on, and I felt naked. I felt like I didn't have two things to do right now. I didn't know what to do with myself, and you know, in a controlled setting like a airport or in my car heading down the road, just thinking about things, it allows me to put not just put things in perspective, but it allows me to organize things the way that I need them to go, right? And there, you know, if I forgot something, I can pick up the phone and call Jason or call James or call Amy and say, hey, did we do this? Did we do that? It just allows me to organize stuff. So that 4-hour drive is as much needed as anything else at that point in the week, to be quite frank. But to other people that have their own structures, it's an annoyance, right? I don't know how you drive all the way over there and all the way back. It's just become part of my life, and quite frankly, I've used it as a tool, not a crutch. So James just wasn't, as I said, I could have twisted his arm, I could have begged him to go, I could have guilted him into going, but ultimately, he just didn't want to go over right now. Now, I am going to guilt him when it comes to the open house that we will have, and I am going to guilt him to come over there and drive at the open house and leave and go back to Mohawk and drive at night. He's not going to want to do that, but I am going to throw the kitchen sink at him to do that. That will take place, I believe, the second week in May. It won't be on Mother's Day. I don't believe it's going to be on Mother's Day, but somewhere around the same time, a week later. I don't think it'll be a week earlier, a week later, maybe a Saturday or Sunday in Ohio. We're looking at doing it excuse me. We're looking at doing it on Saturday in Northfield Park, and the following day, Sunday in Mohawk. So we're in talks with Mohawk. The plan is to go to Mohawk. I don't know if you got any direct confirmation, but the belief is that we're going to be able to facilitate it in Northfield, and we are going to be able to facilitate it at Mohawk. Now, because we only have 20 horses here for Mohawk, I had asked Mark Stacey's crew, right? They also have a fractional ownership group. I'll ask Louis Philippe Waugh, who has a number of 2-year-olds here also. Now, our horses, I've noticed our horses are training a little faster than Mark's and Louis' this week anyway, and last week. So there'll be a discrepancy in what the horses are ready to go, and we can easily back our horses up. There's no need to go fast with all of them. So that's the plan for the open houses. That's the unfortunate news for today, is I could not talk James into it. But as I said, tying into the open house, I will do my hardest to convince him to come to Northfield Park and go with some of those horses. So the horses we're talking about are the ones that we drove today, the ones that we videoed today, and for the most part, everybody went well. I'll go through the list, but the only one I think made a break was Mick Paisley, and I believe, you know, I'd said to Mario when she's jogging around, maybe your hobbles could be tweaked a little bit. You got to watch that filly. She's got to switch leads. Pacers don't do it a little more slick usually, but this filly in particular, when she goes to switch her leads, you got to watch her coming out of the turn. She's made 2 or 3 breaks in the same place, and Mario doesn't generally go there every week, so maybe that's on me. Maybe I should have told him. I knew it. Maybe I should have told him, hey, when you come out of the turn, and he was going to be on the front. I knew he was going to be on the front in that set, him or Danny. I had said, I should have said to him, hey, you got to watch this filly coming out of the turn. So that's as much on me because she catches you off guard. Most horses will put that step in and just pace through it. She, being a young filly and a little green, she put a step in and rolled off stride. And she's done this before. So we have to work on that particular aspect with her. Now, how did the babies go today? I thought, as I said, aside from McPaisley, I thought they all looked tremendous. I gave you guys a little bonus coverage today, and we're going to give you bonus coverage tomorrow a little bit also. But today, in particular, I was very impressed with the 2-year-olds and the 3-year-olds. Won a slow mile with Brace for Landing, and I thought he's looked as good today as he has any time in his life. Now, I only went a mile in 2:25 with him because I'm going to plan on putting him in the race bike and go a mile in probably 2:2 or 2:3 on Friday with him at First Line Training Center. We kind of creeped Harry as he was training. I saw him out there getting ready to turn. I said, "Hey, can you get Nothing But a Dreamer? Can you video him?" So Curtis got him, and then I went with Crantini. Now, I will be honest. I thought Crantini was a little flat. He was acting a little weird too. Not in a horrible way. Maybe he was a little sick. Maybe he was a little tied up. Because remember, Saturday it poured rain. Sunday he was off. Monday I told you he jogged great. But just because he jogged great doesn't mean that he didn't cramp up a little bit. He didn't seem like he did. But he was a little flat today. Now, also, talking about that, I had a great conversation with Megan. And she said that she employed flip-flops on him. I knew he didn't race in them. But she said she trained him a lot of miles and trained him throughout his weeks off with flip-flops on, and that is very telling because his heels of his feet, I do find them bothering him. So I had asked the blacksmith today, now this is after he trained, to go ahead and put a set of flip-flops on this horse. Today was not his best training mile. Behavior-wise, it was great. Wasn't his strongest training mile. Now I won a mile in 2:5, last half in a minute, last quarter in 29 and 3, 30 seconds, something like that. But it was not, I can honestly say, was not his best training mile. Attitude-wise, perfect. Behavior-wise, mechanically, he wasn't really running in. He was leaning in a bit in the turns. I felt him running in a little more than I thought he would. But he paced a lot when he went on the track. And he had done this in the summer also. We had just had his knees done with a little bit of acid. I just didn't feel today was great. Now, nothing horrible. We have some boxes to check. Are his feet okay? Are they okay? Right? Did he tie up? How was he behind? His stifles a little loose. Are they a little sore? Is he tight over his back? We can probably figure out why he was a little lackluster today at what I felt. And you may not see it. You may look at it and say, wow, he looked good. Because he did. He just wasn't as powerful as I thought he'd be today. And that's not like him, because over the last 3 weeks, he's out-trained Brace for Landing. The way he's trained, he felt stronger, but Brace for Landing felt very, very good. In fact, when you factor in 2.5 to 2.5, totally different tracks, the same facility, but different weather. One was Friday, one was Tuesday. Brace for Landing's mile on Friday was much stronger than Crantini's today, but the 2 or 3 training trips before that at 1.5 miles in the jog cart, Crantini felt more powerful than Brace did. So, although he wasn't bad today, I wouldn't say it was his best training mile, but I was happy with the way he did it. Yes, I could see the power outage. I could feel it. Yes, he was running in a little bit. And yes, he was a little pacey when he went on the track. But all these are answerable questions. So, I gotta pull over here. I'm right at the car wash. You can go around me there, Sparky. So, when it comes to the trainers, Brace was awesome. Nothing But a Dreamer. I only saw him come in front of me. I thought he looked very good. And Crantini was good. But as I said, not his best training mile to date, but very good. Now to the babies. Now, I was thoroughly impressed with everybody. A couple of horses I went with that had maybe made mistakes or haven't been as great of late, I thought looked tremendous today. One in particular was in the 4-set Ready for Landing. I thought was awesome. Straight up awesome today. We had taken a bunch of equipment off of him and actually put him in a position where I didn't cut him loose down the lane because he made a break on me last time. So I kept him quite contained going through the mile. But I thought he was very level-headed today and did his work very, very well. So, easy on the turns, Hallie in the Clouds, Bruno, Watch Your Mouth, and Blarney Castle were in the first. James said his colt was better, which is good. offered my opinion on maybe making a couple of changes on him. I think maybe only one. From where we'd hung him up the other day, and I believe he said he was very good today. Watch Your Mouth jumped over a pile of shit, to be honest. Down the lane, there was somebody. I hate when people do this. They'll stop and let their horse shit on the track. It's actually dangerous sometimes. And sometimes you don't notice it happening, but it does. And I didn't realize it until James stopped me and said, Danny's horse jumped right over that pile of shit that was on the track. So it happens. From time to time, it will happen. It's not necessarily something you have to be that concerned about. It just caught his eye, and he jumped over it, skipped over it, and kept going, and was fine. Bruno, don't talk about Bruno. I thought was very good today, trotting really, really well. Hallie in the Clouds was good, and Easy in the Turns was good also. And talking about the horse that maybe were a little lackluster today, Amy said mechanically she was good. She felt a little rusty. It's a word we use sometimes in the burn. A little rough, a little out of gear. But she said strong, did her work well, but maybe not her best training of the year also. So the first set was great. All the horses were great. Even the Watch Your Mouth pitched the break. He just jumped over, as I said, just jumped over something on the track, and he's fine. So his first set was great. We went with the second set. I didn't know what to think with Drebin, Winter Bells, this heavyweights in here. And even Rito's Lady's been training pretty good. I gotta make an honest admission. All the horses were staked on our program, right? Rito's Lady was added late to the program and never got staked as a 2-year-old. Never got New York staked, which I think overall the resounding voice is, who cares? She's been training okay, but to go to New York from Ontario, you have to be a sire stake horse. There's no point being a Excelsior, a definitely B horse. They just don't race for enough money. Right? If you can do in an Excelsior race, you can almost do in the Maiden Honors or 2 at Mohawk. You definitely can on the B tracks here. And they don't race for much money. They race for $15,000. They go all over New York. If you're in New York, it's fine. But if we're shipping there and having somebody race these horses for us, it makes very little sense. And that's not me trying to justify it. It was my error. I made a mistake. So for my few partners, I noticed that 94 or 93% of her is owned by the stable. For my few partners, I apologize. She was added late to the system and didn't get picked up by the staking. So we missed the 2-year-old stakes. I do have to pay a supplemental stake payment. I think it's $1,100 to make her eligible for next year. That's important. That's important, and I think we'll have to do it. So that's on me. I made a boo-boo. But it's not the end of the world, really, to be honest. I didn't really have given much thought to Rito's Lady heading towards New York to race in the Sire Stakes, and if she turns out like she's a decent filly, race her 4, 5, 6 times, the 2-year-old, kick her out and prep her for her 3-year-old season. As it turns out, she's quite a ways behind everybody still, although speed-wise she's catching up quite quickly. As far as a total package and an entire body of work, kind of so-so. So she's coming though. I can tell you this much. Most improved horses over the last month, there'd be very few in her category. She has come a long, long way from, man, this filly, I don't know what, and you guys have heard me on the videos before, maybe a month ago, go listen to me talk about Rito's Lady. She looks terrible. She's out of gear. It was hard to break her. It was hard to gate her. Now she got her ears up. All she wears is a closed bridle, a couple of head pulls, one on each side because she wanders. No head check, no nothing, no boots. She's fine. But that's still a long, long way from me saying, oh my God, did I ever screw up and I didn't get this filly stake? I think it's going to be a non-issue. A non-issue. It reminds me of the filly we had about 3, 4, 5 years ago, Bottle of Red. Ended up being a decent filly here, and we sent her to New York, really, to what? I think we raced her once in a stake and she was 5th or 6th. So, it's not really a path that's very illuminated for her. So, sucks. It was an error, but at the same time, not a real big one. So I ended up removing to the front with Drebin in front of Lonely Lakewood. It was, if you guys can watch the videos, the track was very wet today. Down along the rail, we actually stayed quite a ways off the rail, and I had creeped down into the deeper stuff with Drebin as he was running in a bit. I didn't want to check him, and we get down. Lonely Lakewood get in there. He's got the flip-flops on too. Slipped, knuckled over, and made a break, come back trotting, and finished right beside me down the lane. Now, Drebin was well in hand, and he is a very impressive colt. Very powerful colt, as you can see. He's got a snake cord on, and I'm really, really sitting up on him halfway down the lane. I almost got him stopped down by the wire, but Lonely Lakewood was coming, and that was after a break. He's always been good, and certainly not his fault. He pitched that break. It's meaningless. Winter Bells was good. Insider Trading, again, Danny said, did her work well, never put a step in. Somebody made a break or got out of gear in front of her. Who made a break in front of her? He said somebody got out of gear and made a break. Maybe it was when Lonely Lakewood did. And he said he ran right up on top of them. She never even put a step in. She trotted right on. Insider trading's good. When I had her in the hobbles and I had her right on her toes, you just can't keep them like that all the time. So she's kind of quietly backed up in almost neutral. And there's no need to put her back in overdrive. She's fine the way she is. She's doing her work well and learning every day she trains. And Rito's Lady did close up, I believe, because after the wire, through the turn, coming out of the turn, she was right beside us, going into the backstretch. So a great set there again. Very happy with everybody in there. The Lonely Lakewood. There's 2 breaks today. Pitched them both. Both of them were meaningless. The third set was probably one of the happiest sets I've been in a while. Punch the Clock just looks so good. You guys heard me talking about her the last 2 weeks, and I'm sure people are at home just waiting to see Punch the Clock and how good she looked, and she looked great today. We moved over coming out of the last turn. I wanted to give James lots of room. I didn't want to get him into that deep stuff with Punch, so I want to make sure he had lots of room. And Johnny was coming with a full head of steam in George, and I did look over and say, hey, I want these 3 to all finish together. We went in 241 because all those horses could go in 230 except for Punch. So I wanted to make sure that she had a good set to go with. We get over the half in 25 or 26, 1 mile and 41, which is the last half in 15, which is starting to prep her for those 230 miles. Flash Fly and Bruin and George and Seasons of Love and even J-Port Beach Boy, they've already been at that speed. So it was a bit of a walk in the park for them. But when Punch the Clock shot through the inside, I went to let Flash Fly, and Johnny went to let the other horse trot with her down the lane. She trotted away from them. So you can see that. Just go back and watch the last video of her training and breaking and goofing off and not paying attention, and then see how dialed in she is now. She has really jumped forward mentally in a big, big way, and that entire set was awesome. George was very good. As I said, Johnny was coming with a full head of steam, and I said, hey, I want these 3 to finish together, and he had kind of cinched up George. But he was coming with a full head of steam. Flash Fly was loaded. Punch the Clock was loaded. J-Port and Seasons finished up right behind us. It was a great set number 3. And then the last set was great also. McPaisley made that break out of the turn. She was the only horse today that made an unforced error. The only one. And I know it's hard and frustrating to watch a horse make breaks like that. We'll get to the bottom of her. Don't worry about... now there's a giant lineup. Look at what I just did. I was the only one in the lineup. Now there's 6 cars ahead of me. 6. I'm going to back up and get in line. I could have done this a couple of seconds ago, I suppose. No big deal. So that 4th set, Ready for Landing is a horse I've been focusing on quite a bit lately. Here's a horse that made some errors and unforced errors. They're the most frustrating kind. When they make a break in the last turn for no reason, when they make a break late in the stretch for no reason, it is really, really frustrating for me to watch. And this guy today went out today. I didn't drill him the last week. We gave him Saturday off, so it rained anyway. So he didn't train on Friday. I don't believe. He got Saturday off, Sunday off, jogged Monday. We went out today, and he was quieter. Following, if you watch the last sets, you could tell he was loaded, but he was like right up on the bit and right up on top of James in front of him. Today he quietly followed, very polite today, which was unlike him. So maybe he's learning. I told you he learns weird. The couple of times that I was really, really, really hard on him throughout a week, one day you'd be pushing him very hard. He'd come in blowing and sweating, and the next day they usually come out and they're just angry. This guy, it's like he learned his lesson. He's like, okay, Ewan, I don't want to. No, I don't want to start anything here. And he's and for a stud, odd, very odd horse, but I love what he's doing. So Ready, McPaisley was cutting it out. James popped out of the 2-hole, then McPaisley made a break, and I didn't want to let Ready for Landing overtrot himself. That's one thing I didn't want to do. So even late in the stretch, I got him doubled up. And I'm coming to James. Now, I wanted to ask James what he thought of him, because I thought when he cleared to the front, he was going to say, yeah, he just kind of cowered a bit and waited for some, just green. You have no idea how big Time Is On My Side Now is now. It's very, very hard to explain how much girth he's put on, how big his ass is, how high his withers have got. The growth spurt this horse has gone through is tremendous. And it's hard for me to explain that to you. And I don't even know if you can go back and look at old videos and then try and look at today's video. But he's 170 pounds heavier than he was at Christmas time. I'm certain of it. So, time is on my side. Won the set, looked great. Ready for Landing finished up great, and Great Bet finished up great also. As I said, we had 5, 10, 15, 19 horses trained today, and of 19, 3 breakers, 2 had reasons. Both of them jumped over something. Lonely Like Wood knuckled over in the mud, and Watch Your Mouth jumped over something on the track. Both documented. You can check on both. It's exactly what happened. The only unforced error of the day was McPaisley, and I think it just, when you come out of the turn, rather than ask her to sprint, you have to let her get her feet underneath her. You have to drive her like a trotter, is what you have to do. And I probably should have brought that up with Mario and clarified that when he went on the track. So it's a little bit my fault also. But a unbelievably good day of training. Quite a bit different from the last day we had training. I was quite frank with everybody and said, a little flat, a little disappointing today. The entire crew was. Today was quite the polar opposite. They were all awesome. For those of you wondering about times, which I don't care, and I tell you not to worry about it, but the first set with Hallie in the Clouds, I won the set with Hallie in the Clouds, 2:30, 2:33, 2:34. The second set with Drebin, we went in, same thing, 2:34, I believe. Third set was 2:41 with Punch the Clock, and the last set was 2:37 with Ready for Landing. All 4 sets were very good, and at any point, I suspect in the next 10 days or so, we'll just come out and go a mile and 25, no problem with these horses. They're all ready to rock. As I said, the only concern that I had today was the unforced error by McPaisley, but I think that's more or less just being in front of her. Don't drive her in a reactionary manner. Be proactive with her, and know that when you come out of the turn, you have to have her on her toes, but have the bit cinched right into her mouth and kind of help her with that transition. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to come home. I'm going to go home, and can't tell, but I'm filthy. It was muddy today. I'm going to have a shower. Maybe have just a tiny siesta. It's Mexican for sleep. And then off to Ohio. Unfortunately, I won't have the cargo with me I thought we would, which was James, and I'll do my best to tweak the sets for tomorrow. But for today, we're all done. Just a great day here in Ontario. Take care.